So yeah, we will start the November 15 meeting of SBAR, and the item on the consent calendar is the fire suppression water tank at 3798 Via Real.
I want to
And
let the chair know that two attachments were sent late last night that were not included with the set. And I wanted to know if you wanted to consider them for today's approval.
therefore, I mean, this is just, it's just a tank with, what are the attachments? Can we take a look at the attachments and see if there's anything different?
Let me bring those up one second.
Sure. No, yeah, I just want to see what exactly is it that they're adding, because,
Has staff had a chance to review the?
I mean, it's
Uh,
just, it is a tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be approvable without the extra attachments.
Yeah.
Kevin, can you hear us? We're wondering if you had a chance to review the attachments that weren't included with the original set.
Hi, Jonathan. Are these the photos? I think these were submitted a couple
Yeah, the
days
photos
ago.
of the site.
Yes, I did review them. They're just extra photos of the site. There's nothing. There's not much to it.
Okay, let me bring those up.
Oh, I just have one question to the applicant here.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, I just have one question. What's the color of the tank? Is it going to be like unpainted, or what's the story?
It will be green.
Green. Is there a color, is there a paint colors anywhere?
I don't have pictures of the green tank, but they're like a dark green. They blend in with the landscaping.
Okay,
Is it the standard manufacturer green?
Yeah.
Like the,
okay.
they're all either black or green?
Yeah, okay. No, yeah, well, it looked like it's stainless steel. That's why, that's why I was wondering. Okay, well, it's fine. It's just a tank, and keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. There it is. That's it, but it's actually, but it's not green. It's not like that. It's green, right?
Correct. Yeah. All of our water storage tanks are dark green. That's
Dark
just
green.
the standard
Yeah,
spec.
keep going. There's some pictures of the tank. Yeah, that's where it is, right there. Well, you passed them already. Yeah, that one, and yeah. So yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. So it's good to go. Thank you.
Is it specified on the plans that it's a green color?
Yeah, is the color specified in the plans anywhere, or where does it say that?
I'm not
I mean,
sure.
we
if we
make
have
it
it in the plan.
the condition will be the condition that will be a dark green color. Okay,
That sounds good. Thank you.
very good. Thanks. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Look like really short agenda. I've got some the last two. You know, when I saw the agendas, I was like, oh, you're waiting until I'm back for all the big ones. Yeah. Yeah, so it's all- Nice, thank you. Cakes for breakfast. 3-year-old will be on board. Um, I think that's one. No, I was here for that one. I'm pretty sure. Let me see who was. Okay, who was, oh, so present was me, you, John. Oh, so we can't, yeah. The fourth. No, down here. Yeah. That's why it's a struggle. We have to get all four. We need quorum to approve it. Because we had bear quorum that day. Yeah. And then I have to recuse from the 11-1, but I think you guys still have quorum. Okay. All right. Today's agenda. All right, we will begin the November 15th, 2024 SBAR hearing. And we'll begin with any public comment that's not pertaining to any items that are agendized for today. Anybody online or in the audience?
Nobody with their hands raised.
Okay, we'll move on to the agenda status report.
We have received no continuances for today's agenda.
All right, and we'll move on to reviewing the minutes from November 1st. We'll have to postpone reviewing October 4th till we have quorum. So November 1st, and I will recuse from this. Anyone have anything on item 1?
Seems fine. It was a difficult, a complicated item, and I think it's well described.
Okay. Item 2. And 3. You guys did have it easy, 3 items. Mhm. All right. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve? You have an adjustment? Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar. I mean, the minutes of November 1st.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
1 recusal. Okay, we'll move on to, let me get back to it. Any SBAR members informational briefings? None? Okay. All right, and move on to the staff update. Joe, do we have anything?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No updates from me. But good morning, everyone.
Good morning. All right, and moving on to the consent agenda, there was one item. Oh, sorry, John.
That I'm going to step down at the end of the year.
Okay.
Missed my
Oh,
chance. Anyway, been 9 years, I guess.
Yes.
I'm getting older.
a new time. I miss you. Yeah.
John and I are going to start our
Finish the
own
bill.
review board.
I know, right?
John Brown,
Oh. Well, you can still come to all our lunches. Oh, miss you. Those are big shoes to fill, John. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. We had one item.
Yeah, we had one item, a fire suppression water tank at 3798 Via Real. and it's approved as submitted with the stipulation that it be painted dark green. So I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that was our only item on the consent agenda, and so we'll move on to item number 1. The Yoshida new single-family dwelling request of Anna Jensen Stewart, agent for the owner Mitchell Yoshida. Here for conceptual review of a 2,075 square foot residence and a 920 square foot basement, ag processing center and storage, driveway, and associated retaining walls. There is an existing 316 square foot shed proposed for demolition. The project will require 450 cubic yards of cut and fill, and it's located on a 10-acre parcel at 1034 Ladera Lane in the Toro Canyon Community Plan area. Good morning. If you can state your name and then give us your presentation. Great. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is the green light in front of you on?
Is it now? I just pressed the
Yes.
button. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's virtually adjacent to where I grew up, on Hidden Valley Lane. My mother still lives there, and she's made some renderings for us that you'll see a little bit later. And I was friends with the original owner, and based on his oral history, we're transitioning it away from an avocado orchard and towards more sustainable crops and implementing permaculture and regenerative practices there. So I've been spending a lot of time agriculturally as well as in the wild areas. There's about 5 areas of native chaparral, and I've been trying to control invasive species and introduce biodiversity, which is all coming from a permaculture perspective. And one of the most important parts of permaculture design is the home. Everything radiates out from that in the farming practices. So our home is situated on top of the agricultural zone. And I've spent a lot of time considering the climate and the movement of the sun through the year. And we wanted to start with a sustainable material. So we came originally to Adobe, but after exploring the realities of building with Adobe or cob or straw bale here, we're probably going to do a conventional build, but the agricultural style or the architectural style is still kind of influenced by that original thought of Adobe. And when you look at our home, it's kind of a mix of mid-century modern furniture and folk art from around the world. So we feel like this architectural style that we've come up with that we call Adobe Modern is a good representation of our aesthetic. So here's Anna, the house. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Anna Stewart. I'm the architect. I'll just walk you through some of these drawings here. Should we start with the photos? Let's start with the photos to the site. And thank you for whomever's navigating. Appreciate it. So the site here is accessed off of Viola Lane. These arrows are all showing photos to the site. 3, 6, 7, 8, they're all sort of pointing to this existing shed that we're proposing to demolish. You can see it sort of sits on this knoll, and it drops away on the east, south, and west sides. The shed's on this sort of like crown flat portion before it starts to slope away. The avocado orchard is showing there like under 0.7. That's all avocado on that side. And then on the north side, it slopes up. There's a large existing water tank, and then above that, water well. And that's all for fire suppression and agriculture. So let's go to the second page on this. This is just west of the house, neighbor house in the foreground. You can see the shed back there. That's the site. So it kind of gives you an idea of that kind of knoll with the crown on top. And then the second photo, scrolling down, this is another shot looking up kind of from Hidden Valley. This is to the east. And again, there's that shed. You can see it right there. And then we can scroll down to the next page. So this is just access to the site on both sides on Viola. Can go to the next page. Yeah. And this is coming from the opposite direction. You can go to the next page. So this is at the top of the driveway. There's an existing driveway coming down from Viola. So this is where the driveway and Viola sort of intersect, and this is looking down at the shed. And that's that flat portion of the site in the building envelope that we're aiming to put the residence. You can go down a little further. This photo is at the bottom of the property, the south kind of boundary, looking up towards the shed. You can see that sort of existing agriculture access roadway. And this photo is northeast. Again, just kind of showing that knoll feature with the flat crown on top. On either side of the shed, sort of on the east side and the west side, there's these dirt access roads to get you further down the site. So it kind of carves away on either side of that crown. We can look at the last photo there. So that's the other side on the east, southeast side. And now these are photos from the site. This first image is a good image to look at. This is the survey overlaid on a Google map. And you can see the shed there with that flat area crown, and then the kind of like dirt access ways on either side. And you can see where the slopes start on the south, the utility easement on the west. And then these are just all kind of showing, looking out from the site. We've got some great views to the south, southwest, some good views to the west as well. All right, so this is that same survey here. So you can see bound on the north by the building envelope, bound to the west, that utility access. We are proposing to remove that oak tree just to the west of the shed. We have consulted with an arborist and plan to do some oak tree mitigation replacement. We had originally tried to keep the oak tree, but in order to get our sort of like full program of all the spaces of a 3-bedroom house, we sort of needed to take up all that flat space that we could, including that flat space just to the west of the oak. So let's see, let's go to the first, let's go back up to the first page actually, in this one. So let's look at the site. Yeah, thank you. So we're proposing to largely keep that existing driveway. We're gonna widen it a little bit so we can get 2 parking spaces in there. We're gonna cut back into that hillside a little bit towards Viola. And then we're putting the residence basically right on that crown, kind of eating up as much flat space as we can. And sort of the way we placed it was these kind of following the natural contours. We have it sort of cascading down. This like western area of the bedroom is a little bit lower, steps up to this link, and then steps up to kind of the main part of the house. But we were very much like following the contours of the site in placement there. And then kind of put the private spaces oriented into the north, the back, and then the southwest we have oriented towards the best view, kind of the killer view, taking that in. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is we decided to do a basement storage for the agriculture, so we could have a place for storing all the equipment and the agriculture itself, as well as like an area for processing. And we decided to keep it all close, stacked, efficient, localized. Yeah, so we can go down to the site sections now. So if we look at section C, I'm gonna scroll down. Section C and section D both give a really good indication of the way that we're sort of like building into the site. This more southwest portion of the house, we have it is the one with a sloped roof. We like the idea of trying to kind of naturally move the air and heat through the house. So we have these higher clerestory windows on the back side and the front side with the capability to open up entirely. Trying to sort of like bring the indoors, outdoors, outdoors, indoors. And let's go down to, it's kind of more of the same. So let's go down to the next page here, look at section 2. So section 2 is showing the main level of the house, basically, and the way that it's sort of stepping down following that sort of natural crown feature. And then we can go down to the next one. So section 3 is showing that below kind of basement level ag storage, also where we intend to put all the kind of like really sexy stuff like the mechanical room. And then do you mind if we switch to the renderings? Are those in here? I think they're separate.
I have the originals here too, if.
Are there some renderings in the folder? I'm not hearing anybody on this end.
I think he's looking for it in the folder. One second.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so can we look at the other one first? Sorry. Thank you. Appreciate it. I know it's hard to navigate with somebody else steering. So this is the northern rendering, the kind of north rendering if you're coming from Viola Lane. As Mitchell said, we were going for this sort of like adobe with like a little mashup of some modern. The way I was seeing it was we had these sort of adobe block features that we kind of punched holes into for the windows and then maybe like carved a corner out at the primary bedroom. And then we have these sort of linking pieces that are more modern and kind of full glazing. On the front here, this sort of kind of, I'm calling it the link space. And the floor plan is called the den, but it's sort of connecting the two kind of more blocky adobe features. And is meant to look almost like a breezeway, you know, like when you come in, you sort of like look right through it. So it sort of separates these two adobe forms. And on the north side, you know, we're doing kind of like a little bit more quiet, sort of more private. And then on the south rendering, I think these renderings are just stunning, by the way. On the south rendering, we have a lot more glazing that's opening up towards the views. This kind of lower adobe block portion is the primary suite. That corner area where it's carved out is oriented towards the view. Again, you can see kind of the link piece between the two adobe structures. And then the more like public sort of shared spaces with the sloped roof oriented out towards the view and following kind of the slope. And then that basement level below, we decided since it would be used for processing, it'd be nice to be able to have some doors that we could open up while it's in use in the processing. And I think, right now we have just sort of some suggestions of landscaping, but really wanting to sort of, as Mitchell mentioned, bring in a lot of native and really kind of soften this. And we want the adobe to have this sort of like organic, soft feel. Now we can go back to the plans. So
And
this
just to help you focus, we don't need too much of the description of the interiors. It's mostly looking
Okay.
at the elevations and the exteriors.
And grading.
Okay.
And grading, yeah, site planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can just kind of scroll through these. I'll just be real brief here, but yeah, here on the elevations, again, I think that they show really nice in the rendering. They show better in the computer model too. Also, though, like computer model has its flaws in making everything feel a little more hard-lined. But on this north side, you see it's kind of a little more private. It's oriented towards the road, kind of more like the adobe feature on this side with that link piece in the middle. And then on the south side, sort of the like celebratory, open it up to the view. And then east-west, kind of just showing the other sides, the other faces. But I think that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. We'll move
Yeah.
on to questions from the board. We'll start with Alex. You have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. What's the color of the roof membrane? I'm asking because it will be seen from elsewhere.
Oh, the flat
Yes,
roof portions?
yes.
I think we're still having conversations about materials. One of the options is kind of that slate gray shiplap fireproof metal on the flat portions. Are you talking about the parapet flat portions or the overhang flat portions?
Both, but most both. I mean, like
Yeah.
basically, we're after darker roofs. Sometimes it's an issue with energy conservation, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So yeah, the fireproof metal shiplap, kind of slate gray, but also the classic mid-century kind of sandstone gravel color.
Okay,
Those are a couple options we're considering.
okay. So it will be a darker
Ballast.
color.
The fireproof
No,
is.
no, I
what
understand, but
fireproof is,
we're interested in the color more than anything else.
yeah, either a slate gray or a sandstone
Great,
color.
thank you.
Mm.
The other one is the railings. Are they steel or, I mean, metal or the railings?
That's
Go to the elevations.
also
Jonathan.
to be decided.
Is that
but,
wood? Is that wood or metal?
Metal.
That's metal and like a
Great.
ship line.
And the stone looks like sandstone veneer or something like that?
That's another material that we're playing with right now. So based on cost efficiency, we may do masonry, but we may also do perhaps a darker stucco color there. That's a earth tone.
And are you sticking to with the wood heather over the doors and windows on the lower floor or not?
What's that?
You're showing wood
I think
heathers
if-
over the
Oh,
openings
yes.
and
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah. That kind of ties into the Adobe
very good. Thank you.
aesthetic.
John, do you have any questions? No.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear more about the grading and the way you're, because I know it's a steep exposed site.
Yeah.
So
So
do you have some preliminary grading to look at?
we have not engaged a civil engineer yet, but that's on our next steps. And Anna has done some kind of rough grading cut and fill estimates.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up, she had some grading.
Our soils engineering is showing that we're on almost pure sandstone here. So it'll be a slab on grade. And we decided that to dig down for that lower level would add a lot of efficiency to our build because we need some space for the agricultural processing and storage. So that's really where the main cut is going to come from, is to dig down to provide that lower level.
And what's your agriculture?
It's predominantly avocados right now, but we are shifting to more sustainable crops like pomegranates, agaves, olives. We have a food forest, and we're zoned RR20, which is kind of an integral part of the Toro Canyon plan. And there's a deep history of agriculture in this area, which has kind of been disappearing over the past few decades. But we really cherish that history. I grew up on a fruit orchard just next door.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, Chris? Robert?
Do you have an idea where the 450 cubic yards of fill is going to get redistributed on the site? Has that been discussed?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
In the grading here, it says that there's 450 cubic yards of cut and then fill redistributed on site. Has it been discussed where that fill is going to go to?
Not entirely. We would like to widen the farm road to the east as much as possible without having to do crazy engineering. So some of it would hopefully go there. And then a little bit further down on the ridge, we have some zones where we can always use soil and add in compost and wood chips and, create some area for planting row crops and such.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I do have a quick question. The area where you're showing parking between that and the house, what is that area? I guess the front door is where it says finished floor of 1069.
Right.
And then just to the left of that, is that?
That's a north-facing patio.
Okay. And then just to the right of that where it says dry well number 7, is that an outdoor patio as well? Courtyard?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's the outdoor patio that she was talking about. And then in between the parking and the house, that's just kind of another open north patio, but you'll park and see all the way through to the ocean, hopefully.
Okay, thanks.
Move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to make public comment?
We have received no letters and we have nobody online for public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Val.
I think it's, it's a modest size house and your architecture looks fine. The idea of stone on the base, the native sandstone, is really, really nice and would be great if you can stay with that. I think for me, the most concerning is the grading and really getting that, figured out, because there's a lot of different ways to do it and make it really aesthetic rather than an engineered pad and cut. And so that ties into the landscape too, that the landscape should be as naturalized as possible. And that oak having to be removed and the mitigation, it'll be really important to see where you place the new oaks and hopefully go for the perspective of framed views. Over and over, we hear people talk about, I just need my view. And it's so much better when it's framed, when there's foreground, when there's shade. Having grown up near there, you know that. So those are my comments.
Alex?
Totally agree. I like the building. I like the presentation. I like the hand-drawn perspectives. I think they're very sweet, and it's a nice. Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. No, I think you're going the right direction. So good.
John?
Well, I think that it's a mix. You know, and it's tricky to do with the Adobe and to bring that all together. And I think that it could be very successful. I mean, these different things with vigas and, you know, a flat roof and, you know, I think overall it could work together. I I worry about the parking though. You have to back out to the street. I mean, it seems like here you have a lot of space and, you know, that's going to be a hardship in the long run.
It's a street with no traffic.
Yeah, we've been trying to minimize the grading. And so that's one of the considerations. You know, we could knock it all down and make these big
Well,
levels
I'm
and
not
have
talking about
tons of,
knocking
yeah,
it down. I'm just
yeah.
talking about grading it to the
Mhm.
point where it's convenient
yeah.
To turn.
now.
We've been operating with this driveway for the last 4 years, and as you said, it's a very low traffic private lane, so we haven't had any issues so far with parking as is.
I think one consideration, you know, where that ag road sort of drops down, we could kind of create sort of a little turnaround situation there.
Go on to comments from Chris,
And the landscapers.
neighbors.
Yeah, first of all, I applaud you for the permaculture angle. I think there should be more of that. And I'm also curious to see what happens when you get to the grading, and if new retaining walls pop up, you know, we want to see how high they are and all the information therein. I'm just looking at on the left side there, a finished floor elevation of 1058
Mhm.
with a, you know, 1065 topo. So is that, you know,
Yeah,
is
we've
that a
got,
very high nestled into the hillside with that portion of the,
yeah, we're sort of nestled in back there and we've got, I'm just realizing it's not showing on the site plan, but we put in like some boulder retaining walls just to the other side of that utility easement. Trying to keep it, you know, no greater than like 30 inches, maybe 3 feet max, like
Yeah.
boulders kind of on that corner.
okay.
So that is good eye.
Yeah, anyway. Over on the left side, yeah. So, yeah, I think the grading will be really important and also, you know, super high fire landscape. So it's a challenge to soften the residents and make it fire safe. And so we'll look to see what your planting looks like as well. But yeah, I think you're on the right track.
Robert,
Yeah, I agree with the positive comments. I think this house really feels like it's appropriate for this site, so that's great. There seems like there's some missing development in terms of like any site walls and the landscape plan, and just looking at this like agricultural road that's coming down around the side to the lower level. Or just I think you need to maybe further develop how all that's going to happen if there needs to be any, like you've got this nice stone feature for the bottom of the house. I think any of the site walls should kind of match that, and it's an opportunity to, you know, integrate the landscape into the development of the site. And it sounds like you're very sensitive to that. So I look forward to seeing, you know, the further development, like you're just identifying too, the boulder wall behind the, what is that, the master bedroom area. So
Yeah.
in general, I support your project. I think it's great, and I look forward to seeing the next iteration of it. So,
yeah, I agree with the positive comments and also that lower, the equipment storage area and how that lands with the grade. It's going to be a little bit of a trick to figure out. and making sure it's functional with your ag roads to connect, because that'll be the most common use, I'm sure, coming out of that storage area. And yeah, I think it's a very nice project for the site. So you're here for conceptual review. And so just come back. I think it can come back for
Yeah.
full.
Yeah,
Right.
well, we just want to see the grading. We haven't seen anything yet. And that's
Yeah.
the main challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll, you can come back for further conceptual / preliminary. So if you're ready for prelim at that point, we can make the finding.
But that would be with a really pretty developed landscape.
Yeah.
We use as many of those rock rubble walls. Yeah, use as many of those rock rubble walls as you can for terracing around the property. It's a beautiful look. It's very natural. And you can do a lot of grade change with it.
Sounds like you're gonna run into a lot of rock.
Rock. You may have some available.
Hopefully we'll have a lot of raw material from just digging down there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you. All right, moving on to item 2. 1 second, let me get back to it. The Reardon parking modification request of Craig Minus, agent for Greg Reardon. Here for preliminary review of a setback modification to allow a 3.5-foot reduction from the 20-foot front setback from the right of way and a 13.5-foot reduction from the 50-foot setback from the street center line. The new 16.5-foot setback from the right of way and the 36.5-foot setback from the street center line will allow development of an ADU being processed under a separate CDP. Single-family dwelling exists on the parcel. It's a 0.15 acre parcel located at 6867 Triga Road in the Isla Vista area. I'll go, is the applicant online?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the comments then because they're brief.
Thank you.
Oh, great. Yes, you can come forward. So decrease the amount of paving and increase the landscape area, reduce size of concrete patio in the front of the property. Sidewalk should be a different color or texture than the driveway, and majority of members find the modification supportable. All right, so let's bring that up. Can you, oh, you already have it up. Okay. Project must receive prelim review approval prior to decision maker action. Project will return for final if approved by the decision maker. It needs favorable comments from SBAR before the action, the decision maker. I think the rest is straightforward. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Craig Minus. I'm the owner and operator of CAM Land Use and Development, and I serve as the applicant land use planner. Like the staff report said, we were last in front of your board back in July, and at that time you had 4 comments, which were reflected in the minutes. In that time, we've worked closely with planning staff, and we've also worked to address each of your comments. First is acknowledge the comment number 4 back in July acknowledges that your board was supportive generally of the requested modification. So our team's here today to describe the revisions we've made to the other 3 comments. In the audience, I'm joined by the project's landscape architect, Ariana Jansba, who may contribute to this conversation as well. So if you don't mind, we'll address the other 3 remaining comments from the minutes. Let me pull those up.
And I believe you can't see her, but your landscape architect is here.
Yeah.
To present.
So there were 3 remaining comments. One was decreased the amount of paving and increased the landscape area. And I think, again, what you're seeing on screen now is specific. Well, you can keep it there, please. Just to give you an overview, if you can scroll up just a tad. And again, we reviewed this back in July, but there is it's an existing single family dwelling with a attached garage, and the ultimate project is an ADU project, which is a garage conversion and expansion to achieve a 800 square foot ADU. So it's the project's requiring to get into the front yard setback, which is the modification that your board was generally supportive of, subject to the 3 other comments. So if you could scroll down to L1, please, that'd be great. So you've asked us to decrease the amount of paving and increase the landscape area. We've spent a lot of time on this. L1 should be probably at the end of the project. Yeah. So additional landscape has been provided throughout, including on the east side of the new driveway. You made some specific comments to bolster the landscaping there. We also significantly increased the landscaping at the end of the proposed driveway to buffer against the existing house. And at the street side of the proposed ADU patio, which is on the right side of your screen there, to enhance the landscape palette along the frontage of the property. The driveway material has been broken up and includes grass turf strips to break up the driveway squares, in order to soften the concrete and to add a landscape element to the hardscape. The ADU patio, which is again on the right side of your screen there, also includes these grass turf strips, between the concrete patio to soften the use. So we think, with this blend of redesign, we have in fact increased significant landscaping and softened the amount of paving. Your comment number 2 was a suggestion to reduce the size of the concrete patio in front of the property. You were speaking to the concrete patio that's in front of the ADU. That concrete patio, it was intended to, serve as functional space for the tenants of the ADU. But we were able to, look at that and address your comments. The concrete patio was reduced in both depth and width. The depth of the patio was studied in order to, maintain a usable area. Again, the tenants would likely, use this space as a hangout space or study space or gathering space. So we wanted to, maintain the functionality, but we were able to, reduce the depth of it by about 12 inches. So we did tighten it up. We added more landscaping around it, particularly on the east side. And then there were some comments about buffering it from the street. There was a comment that maybe suggested someone would want to park up there, which we really never think can happen because there'll be significant landscaping and a curb in front of it. But we did incorporate some boulders into the landscaping just to ensure again that a car couldn't get up there and use that space as a parking pad. So I'll address your remaining comment number 3, which was sidewalks should be different color and or textured in the driveway. The image on the screen, maybe I'm not seeing the same colors, but let me describe this, that, the plans represent a purposeful thought of distinguishing between the concrete areas intended for vehicular versus, separating those from those the areas that are intended for pedestrians. So the proposed driveway includes a gray finish concrete, and the sidewalks and patios areas include a sand finish. So we are using color to distinguish between where cars are supposed to be and where, pedestrians are supposed to be, or tenants in this case. Along with the grass/turf strips in between the driveway and the sidewalk. So we softened kind of that area, further providing a buffer between where cars are supposed to be and where pedestrians are supposed to be. We also did this, in the patio for the ADU. So, we tried to soften the areas and distinguish between the two concretes as a visual cue for, you know, residents or tenants that are utilizing the property. And then again, the last comment you had was that the majority of the members find the modifications supportable. So I don't have any, thank you for that, but I don't have any further comments on that. So, again, that's concludes my presentation. Ariana may have some clarity, or maybe she can address any comments you have, but thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Would you like to add anything?
Only that I think we will use a textural difference to distinguish between the pedestrian and the vehicular areas. It'll all be gray concrete, but the sidewalk areas will be sand finish.
Okay.
So the color is consistent.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board?
Yes. Couple of quick questions. You answered one of them. So we were thinking gray throughout, but a sand finish for the pedestrian area. Why?
We were asked to distinguish the two so it didn't look like one mass of one color and one texture. So we made the paving portion of it for pedestrians, the sand finish, which also has a little bit less or a greater coefficient of friction. So if you're in Isla Vista and it's moist and damp, it's easier to walk and not slip on the sand finish.
But you didn't want to use a different color.
I didn't see a different color as working very well together. Concrete doesn't come in that many options, and trying to get a subtle distinction is difficult. So I thought a textural one is a little better. It does provide a different color as well because of the sand finish.
Okay, and then where those 3 boulders are, it says walk-on bark.
So one of the things that we had in our original submission was to keep the rock mulch that is currently there on all the beds. And to make this look more friendly, we took the rock mulch out of the beds, we took it out of the gaps between the concrete, we put the turf in between the concrete, and we used walk-on bark instead of the rock mulch.
Why not plant that area?
Oh, it's all planted, but the bark is
Oh, I see.
in between the plant material instead of having rock mulch between the plant
Gotcha.
material.
It's not just,
What
okay.
what sheet is the planting shown on?
The last,
Is there a
Not
plant
loading on my end, so I wasn't sure if it's working.
going down, Jonathan?
so there are photos of proposed plants on the last page.
Okay, so there's not a planting plan yet, but you're sort of hinting.
Right.
Okay. And then I guess typically we'd show where the sidewalk is there a sidewalk where in the curb, and where's the edge of the roadway? Is that all?
That should be on there if you scroll back to L1.
Bottom? Yeah, go down a little, right there.
Oh, and I will say, a new draftsperson was hired in the interim from the first submission till now, and the plan was not 100% finished or very professional, and so there may have been something left off of here.
Okay.
But we were requested to submit regardless.
Sure.
So
So where,
and I think
at the bottom of that page, then where it says right away, is that a sidewalk or is that the actual road?
There is no sidewalk.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk there.
Okay, so that's
It's
curb and then
only.
roadway.
Yeah, and we will be replacing the curb that used to be for the existing driveway. And then we will be cutting a curb where we're putting the new driveway.
Okay,
And that actually showed on the original plan and didn't make it to this.
gotcha. Okay.
I have one question. Has this already gone through the county, like to approve that the concrete apron meets the standard? Because I think it's going to have a different shape than that. You want to speak to that, Mr. Meyer?
Oh, I think we also, on the new one, we had an
Yeah,
angle
I think
to
it's going
it.
to have to
Yes,
meet the.
we
state
did. And
county
again, that change didn't make it onto here.
Okay.
Yeah, again, you know, we're required to obtain a coastal development permit for the ADU. The first step again is to you know, get your board to be supportive of the setback modification. So, you know, our construction drawings and our formal submittal of the ADU and the property improvements are still forthcoming. And I'd expect that we'd you know, catch that apron detail in the construction drawings.
All right, we'll move on to public comment, or sorry, were there any other questions from the
Yes.
board?
How wide is the driveway apron? I mean, the driveway, how wide is it?
That figure did also not make it to this.
Well, what's the answer?
I think it's 10 feet for
No, no.
9 feet. How wide is the driveway?
I'll tell you, Mr. Pujol, just a minute, I'm looking on the plans.
Must be 25, 30 feet. I don't, that's what it looks like.
Oh, wait a minute. The width is up at the top. It's 19'4".
It's 19 feet.
19 feet.
Okay, thank you. Can you, Jonathan, can you please zoom into the landscape area? Yeah, make that area a little bit. Yeah, there you go. No way. Okay, put it down a little bit. There we. Well, a little bit smaller. A touch smaller. A touch smaller. There you go. Okay. All right. Thanks. So that's 19 feet, and then there's a 4-foot sidewalk. What is that?
3.8.
Where does it say that?
Vertically, yeah.
Oh. Okay. Right. And there is no separation between the road besides the boulders. You have the boulders and some nondescript planting, and that's it. And then comes another paving in front of the ADU. Is that right?
So there's the bed with the boulders, and then there's the patio.
Yeah. Okay. And the plants. What are those? What are those?
They're not called out yet.
Oh, they're not called.
Not in the front.
Because we need to make a preliminary
Right now.
approval. I mean, this needs to be ready for preliminary approval,
Mhm.
which is almost like final. It has to be, everything has to be clarified there and before you get your modification. So, you know, we're
We
not
don't have
there
to have-
yet.
Yeah.
We don't need a full planting plan necessarily
This
for
is your
preliminary.
Positive comments.
But at least, well, anyway, so,
Okay,
That's
we'll
not
move
mine.
on to public comment and then we'll come back for comments. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to make a public comment about this item?
We have received no letters and we have nobody in our online audience.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. We can start with you, Alex.
oh, okay. I'm making that comment because we're talking about the modification that has to do with the front yard setback. And that's why I'm interested in knowing a lot more of how your landscape in the front yard, because that's what we're modifying. And really, frankly, it doesn't seem like you have improved that project that much from the last time we found it. If you want space for the ADU, I would move the paving against the house and then make quite a nice screen between the house and the street. So you will have the same amount of paved area and you know, and a much bigger, a stronger setback with a hedge or something that separates the house from the street, the front yard from the street. Regarding the comment on the driveway, it looks to me like a 3-car parking area. You know, that's, you know, it doesn't look like I mean, there could be some separation between the driveway and the walkway or some way to differentiate it. I don't think this meets our comments. It doesn't really respond to the comments we made last time. I think we made these points. This looks like a lot of pavement in the front, not screened from the street, which maybe not this applicant, but maybe 10 years from now, I can see a bunch of cars parking in there in this front yard, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Those are my comments.
Okay, John?
Oh, I agree with that in concept. I object to parking in the front setback. And it seems like this project is concrete from stem to stern. And I think that this on the right in front of the ADU could be just landscaped area and not paved area. I mean, there's enough paving here to cover the whole front of the property. And also, what's the relationship of this ADU protruding about 13 feet into the setback in relationship to the adjacent properties? I mean, is this going to bulge out? That's not illustrated here as to what the relationship is to the neighborhood in general. And I think that should be illustrated, be my comments.
Okay, Val?
Yeah, I mean, the whole focus of this was if you're going to get the modification, then have a really comprehensive landscape approach, and it's not defined. I agree that the sidewalk, we talked about it last time, the sidewalk right against the parking just sets it up to be a 3-car parking. And it just seems in the effort that you've gone to, you could have really elaborated on how you're going to screen and landscape the area in front of the ADU more than you have.
Okay, Chris?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't think that our comment B was really addressed, reducing the size of reducing the size of the concrete patio. Sorry, the first one, decreasing the amount of paving and increasing landscape area. It sounds like the only change may have been taking 12 inches off of the patio on the right side. And yeah, I agree that people will park 3 wide and use the sidewalk as parking. And I think our whole point last time was to create some separation there to avoid that from happening. So you have a pretty nice wide, it's about, looks like about 6 feet from edge of concrete to the house. And so the layout of that sidewalk could start a little further to the right, so there is separation, and then it could come back around. So it could meander up. There's lots of different ways to skin that cat. So it certainly looks like a 3 wide and 3 deep kind of parking situation. I know it's Isla Vista, it's a college town. You want that. I don't mind the the patio in front because I think they're going to use it. I think that's good to provide that for them. But I'm still having trouble with the driveway. And then also we want to see how the concrete apron is going to work. And if indeed that property line is at the curb, then you're going to want to move those boulders back towards the patio because anyone opening a car door is going to knock right into those. Which also means that your planting in that area probably doesn't want to be any higher than 8 inches for a couple feet. So that doesn't give you much opportunity to screen that patio at all, unless you put a hedge up and then it's a hedge and it's ugly. So a low hedge might work, but so yeah, I think a little bit more work could be done here to create a solution that helps alleviate the issues that we're having.
Robert?
Yeah, I agree with the concerns, and the drawing should show whatever details there are towards the right of way there that are existing. I mean, I don't know. I guess you guys brought up, is it existing curb right at the property line? Rarely is that the case, but also the planting plan is just tough for me to get an idea of what is happening here. It seems vague and there's not really definition of what's proposed. So, no, maybe there's an opportunity to place a tree or something in the front of this house that might help alleviate the concerns of how a vehicle is going to potentially park in that patio area, which I think you're hearing from the board, they don't want that to happen. And there could be a nice landscape solution to developing this front yard. I think the board's kind of asking to see that developed.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wonder if we should maybe propose a low fence in front of the ADU, like basically a rustic fence, 3
Rail.
feet high or something, or even 30 inches along the property line and going up on the side, and then you can put some planting behind, and then it makes a clear separation of what's what, because right now it looks like all parking.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think it just needs a little bit further study, especially for the preliminary level approval, to understand really how you're resolving some of the comments. So I understand that the paving was reduced slightly, but we need to really see how it's being resolved in the landscape a little further.
Yeah,
Also-
for the planner on there, can you look at the date on these plans? On the right corner? Yeah.
It's 8/28,
I
2020.
submitted and referenced plans that are dated 9/4, so I'm not sure you're showing the right ones.
I'll see in the folder if there's any additional. No, just,
Also, while we're waiting, you have sand finish for the pedestrian, and then the vehicular paving just says gray concrete. Is that meant to be like a broom finish or?
It's a broom finish, and again, part of the problem is that we did not get a chance to finish drafting this design before the owner requested we just stop and submit.
Okay.
okay, so I think you have our comments. It doesn't sound like it's ready for preliminary approval today. So we can just request that you're.
Yeah, I just for clarity, I don't think this is not the right plan. I submitted a September 5th, 2024 resubmittal to
Okay,
Kevin and
Kevin's ready.
it's referenced-
Kev, your planner
This-
is raising his
this
hand.
is a
so
planner.
We'll let him
This-
respond to you.
These are the correct plans, the most up-to-date plans. They're titled October 25th, 2024. Craig, these are the ones you submitted. These are the current plans.
All right, Kevin, okay, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, we'll let you guys sort it out offline. And we'll just have you re-agendized for preliminary again when you return with those comments. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, the Kester Garage, request of Gabriel Zamora, agent for Paul Kester, for the preliminary review of a new 873 square foot detached garage and 148 square foot office. There's an existing single family, 4,000 square foot residence and a storage shed, cut and filler to be determined. The property is on 3 acres, located at 1691 Shepherd Mesa Lane, in the Carpinteria area. Sorry, it's here for preliminary. I'll read the comments. Update site plans to show pedestrian and vehicle access, include adjacent structures on the adjacent properties. Landscaping and car parking should be clearly depicted in grading, showing impact on rural hillside. Return with photos of existing development to demonstrate how proposed structure will integrate with the on-site development. There was no action taken last time. Is the applicant online? I'm also curious how this is agendized for prelim with no grading in the description, like that it's like grading to be determined. But
We do have a applicant online. Gabriella, can you hear us? Gabrielle?
why don't they have to have their grading calcs for this level of review? Yeah. Is the planner online for this project as well? This would be Henry.
Henry is not online.
Okay.
Gabriel, we
Occupied.
cannot hear you if you're trying to speak. Can you verify that you're online here?
Yes, I'm here.
Not hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there might be an issue with your microphone, Gabriel. Yeah. Just for fun. No, it was like, today's a cupcake day. Oh, sorry, your microphone's off.
Gabriel, if you can hear us, we're going to go to the next item and return to you. And in the meantime, we'll try to, if you can try to sort out your microphone and we will look too. But on our end, it says you're unmuted. Okay.
Next, Barbara Beach House. Yep.
Okay. We're moving on to item 4, the Barber Beach Trust Edition, request of Carl Bryant, agent for Steve and Marianne Ekegren, here for preliminary review of a new rooftop room, replacement of cedar roof deck rail with glass, replacement of post and beam north deck with cantilevered deck, south patio layout modification, outdoor cooking, garage, window changes, dumbwaiter, kitchen, and field modification to existing single-family approved plans. There is an existing single-family home. Yeah, okay. Here's the comments. Consider lowering the plate height, eliminating the railing would add mass to the top of the structure. That's weird. Minimal features of the roof would be best. Multiple members stated that existing conditions are best. Return with a flat roof option, no parapet to extend the overhang of the fascia of the roof to size overhang such that it brings a stronger interconnection with the massing of the house. Only needs to be 7'6". Don't make it tall. You state your name and go ahead.
Carl Bryant. I just got a text from my owner of the property. They were calling in to try to get on and be able to listen, and they weren't able to do so. So you may have some issue going on. I know that your remote from the last one was not being able to make connection, so something may be going on with that. Anyway, okay, we've all seen this ad nauseum, so we can scroll down. That's the existing as we had proposed before, but this is, yeah, let's go, wait a minute, these are the, there, that's the one.
Fine. The next slide, yeah.
You can also go, if you go scroll back up to the roof plan. It did show in the shaded area there, and that was the extent of the covered area that I was proposing. You can kind of see what the,
That the red color?
yeah,
So that's your roof,
that's the roof area.
flat roof, okay.
Right.
So you're cutting the roof at an angle, is that right?
Yeah, kind of picking up on, there's all kinds of angles with this house.
Okay,
It's,
yeah.
it's just a,
Okay, let's go to elevations, please. Yeah, thank you for making it simple this time.
I don't know if this project has simple, but yes.
Well, it got easier. So how tall is the roof now? How tall is the plate on that?
The plate is as it was before. It's an 8-foot plate.
And then comes the flat roof on top of that.
Yes, above that.
Yeah.
I haven't had it engineered, but I'm expecting I'm going to be at least 12 inches thick to do an extended cantilever like that. Unless I go into doing some steel and
No, well, we're good, we're good. Okay.
What, on this lower elevation, what is on the left side of that, structure? Is that,
If you go back up to the roof plan, it wasn't on the plan before, but
okay, like a storage?
it's a little storage, any cushions or anything like that up for the seating area up there
Got
or
it.
anything like that. Wanted to make that so that, and that was on the other plan, but it just wasn't as prominent when you saw all the roof as it
Okay.
was before. And that also was, trying to make it more linear instead of being just that doghouse.
So it's actually kind of L-shaped
Yes.
structure. Okay. And then the angle. Okay. Thanks.
And mainly the only reason it's only L-shaped is because I'm going to start getting into weatherproofing that's already been done, and I'm trying to avoid that. I mean, if I have to, I will, but okay. Okay.
The top.
No, keep going.
There you go. And I think the most important ones, those are the kind of straight on, so they look a little blocky, but if you scroll down to the bottom portion of those drawings, I think obviously those are the one on the bottom is the one you see as you come in the gate of the property. And of course, the rail coming into the side of the structure is at an angle.
Yeah.
And then the other parts are.
Any other questions from the board? Move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online for this item?
We have received no letters for this item. We have nobody online.
Okay, we'll move on to comments from the board. Start with John.
Oh. I mean, here we go again. It seems like on the west elevation, the cantilever of the roof is awkward. Now I'm trying to visualize it's very visual from the south elevation and not so much from the west. Is that right? I mean, you would be going away from it.
Well, the west is where you get the first impact, and I think it's probably the most prominent impact. Not that you get the breadth of it, but you get the spot where it sticks above the roof the most. If you zoom in, can you zoom into that west elevation onto that right there? It doesn't really show because I darkened it too. If you see the line in the middle, that kind of shows you where that angle is, which is one of the reasons I wanted to cut that angle into it, which picks up the angles on the side, but also that point on the far right side is not jetting out all the way at the line that we're projecting. So try to give it a little bit of a softening effect.
Well, anyway, I mean, it's just an awkward structure. And that's my opinion.
Right, Alex?
I find that acceptable. I think I like the angles. I think it's good enough. I'm not sure about the railing. It just seems like it makes it more prominent. I think now it's glass. Is that right? I'm not sure if that. Yeah. I don't know, but it's a detail, a minor detail. I think the concept to me it's good enough.
Not a problem.
Oh. Okay. So can you go back to the elevation now? It is really. Is the roof in line with the upper railing? The one with just the gray top on it? No. That's at a different angle than the roof, right? the railing has a
Looking at the
step
west-
in it?
at the
Yeah,
west-
in the west elevation?
Zoom in on a little bit on that west elevation, right where your arrow is. And scroll.
Go
a little
down,
bit.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got the tan colored railing and then it steps up with the gray top.
Right, and if you see, there's those 3 green dots, which are notes.
Mhm.
That's the break in the corner. And both of those portions are angled away from you in this elevation. So the one that's to the right of that 3rd dot where it's noted right there, that angles back towards away from you on the left, and the other one is on the right. And the angle of the roof, where I've got it broken up along the fascia, is the right side of it is the same as the right side of that green dot in the deck. And it's hard to explain in that, but
Well, okay, I was just gonna,
there's
I was wondering if there was any kind of a screen that you could pull up between the top of the gray railing and the parapet or the overhang, but it doesn't. I don't think they're in line, so.
Are you thinking that would be helpful to? or are you
Yeah,
thinking it-
because it would help minimize the doghouse feeling again that you get on this side, but they're not in line, so I don't think it works.
Go back up to the roof plan and.
It's really hard to
I know, it's
straight.
very difficult.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're not really in line.
they're not in line. I mean, I could probably take the storage, because that's not built at this point.
Yeah,
Maybe run it at the same angle as the rail. And then run the roof line at the same angle and create a screen if that's what you think.
oh.
Wouldn't bother
Yeah,
me at all.
It might, because
One
you're
time,
not
in fact,
really looking at anything.
This is right of Padero, which is right on the.
Right, so a screen wouldn't be a bad thing.
It would not be
for
a bad
them. And it might just make that end look a little more
Okay.
built in, because it seems to look better on the north and south where it's longer.
Well, that would also help cut, as I said, when you come in the gate, that's prominent, but if both of those are angled away from you.
Yeah, it would help.
It would help.
Okay.
Which is what the deck,
Yeah, so if you can make the storage at the angle and then run.
I
some
can
kind of
run it
screen.
basically the storage right where that grid line is, that red,
Yeah,
just run it right in line with the rail. And then create a screen out of that.
okay.
And then your roof would also change angle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like,
Just come off that angle at the same.
make sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, oh, good, he's gonna get up and point. The old fashioned way.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be the wall line.
Then we pick up the same eave distance.
Back,
Correct.
yeah.
And then all the way to, I probably would leave some overhang. The
Yes,
Screen wall could come almost all the way to the edge of the.
yeah, the screen wall doesn't have to come all the way, for
It
sure.
Just gives it
It just gives a little bit
breakup.
more mass.
okay.
What kind of screen are you talking about? Like
Uh,
perforated metal?
Well,
Got a lot of shiplap and things like that. I mean, we could do solid, but we could also, which would just.
I was thinking some other
It'd be nice to have that-
texture,
that
yeah,
overlap Too.
yeah,
Maybe we could do like
a
a.
lattice or,
Just to repeat the same as the railing, don't you have some wood railing? Is that what you're doing?
Yep.
It could be something like that, right?
yeah, something
Yeah.
that
Do it
plays
with
off
lattice.
another detail.
And do it out of cedar, so it's wood.
Yeah, like a
and
wood
soft.
trellis, the same as the railing or something.
Yeah,
It'd be kind of nice, I think. Okay.
I would support that.
And where's your landscape plan? You can resist.
I've lost track of who was even making comment right now.
Oh.
All
I'm
right,
Like-
we're moving on to Chris.
taking a scab, it's.
Yeah.
Leave it alone.
All right, Chris.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with what Val said.
Okay, Robert.
I didn't take great offense to what was initially proposed, and I guess kind of going down this route was to try to establish some more shade up on the top of this to prevent people from putting up umbrellas, and then I look at this and think, well, somebody still potentially want to put an umbrella up there. To me, to the expense of somebody to have to modify all this for something that's not offending anybody in this neighborhood, I just think it's acceptable the way it is, but I also don't have a problem with what you're proposing here, so I'll just kind of leave it to the rest of the
I
board.
don't have too much to add. I do wonder how much functional shade you're getting out of the structure. And so yeah, it's not much. So it's really just
I mean, in
covering the shade
summertime,
well.
summertime, you're gonna get some, but
Yeah, in the middle of the day. But I don't think I wasn't here the last hearing when it was presented, so I'll refrain from too many comments. Okay, so you are agendized here for preliminary. Does anyone, with the comments made, does anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion for the preliminary approval of the project as proposed with the north is on the top, right? If I were doing the north is on the top of the page, right?
basically it's slightly.
So we're gonna call the west wall to be angled to as the deck, and the west wall of the storage space, and the screening fence to follow the line of the west rail, and the roof to also follow that line. Okay, a little bit.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
In verbiage.
Yeah, please, clean up the grammar.
I'll second that, but under discussion, Val and I were just talking about now that the roof kind of follows the shape of the roof deck, does it make sense to make that bigger to actually get shade?
Probably get a little bit bigger.
And hold on, I was actually asking
I'm sorry.
Alex. I want to see what Alex and the rest of the board think. So
I think it's getting out of hand. I mean, it's growing. It's about 6 feet, 7 feet, the overhang,
I think it was about 5.5, yeah,
5.5.
on the major part of the,
It looks wider than the hallway and the stairs. So that's gonna be 6 feet, right? Yeah, I think it's already 6 feet plus, I think.
right, but if we use that, wood element to support it, and that, would increase the size of it, obviously. But
Mhm.
it would avoid the need for umbrellas, and it would actually shade it and make it more usable and more auspicious environment. Or are we opening up another can of worms? We go back to the elevations.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all those in favor of that motion?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I think it would make it feel more part of the structure, but maybe it does get too big. Okay, okay, scratch it.
All right,
There's a first and a secnd.
so all those in favor?
Aye.
All
Good
right,
job.
thank you.
So they come into
Um,
consent,
yeah,
come into consent for.
Yeah, so let's agendize him for final on consent.
Yep.
So this is not,
Got all that, Joe?
you know. Okay, all right.
You had one no.
Yes, I got a no.
It's a nay.
All right, can we check if item 3's applicant has mic now?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you
you
can.
hear-
Perfect.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
I believe I already read the description, so let's see. I'll read the comments briefly again. We're back to item 3, the Kester Garage, request of Gabriel Zamora. The comments were update site plans to show pedestrian and vehicle access, include adjacent structures on adjacent properties, landscaping and car parking should be clearly depicted in grading showing impact on rural hillside. Return with photos of existing development to demonstrate how proposed structure will integrate on the site development, and the project is here for preliminary review. So if you can go ahead and state your name and give us your responses to those comments.
Yes, hi, my name's Gabriel Zamora, and I'm the applicant for the owner. And so I might, if I can start with that sheet A04 by describing the existing context. The approach to the project is, the existing house is photograph 1, and then if you look at photograph 3 is the, let's see. Sorry, my screen's a little different. So 3 is looking back at the house from Shepherd Mesa Lane, and looking at basically where the front of the garage would wind up. Then if you look at, do I have control of this screen?
Oh, I do. You just let me know which page to go next.
Okay, so if we could go to could go to page A00, if we could go down 2 pages. And one more. Okay, so yeah, so the existing house is on the bottom right, and then the existing Shepherd Mesa Lane, the property line kind of splits the lane, but the Shepherd Mesa Lane passes the existing house, bears to the north and to the west, and then the turnoff, basically where the photograph of the site is at the end of the proposed driveway. The garage is set approximately 50 feet back from Shepherd Mesa Lane, and the driveway approach is about 19 feet wide. In addition to the existing house, there is an agricultural shed a little further down the lane that's also part of the property. This shows actually the cut that's proposed, approximately 260 cubic yards. It's really just to get the garage down under the height limit and to conform to the slope. And the plan is to disperse that cut over the site. If we can go to the next sheet and zoom out to the whole sheet. I just want to make sure that, yeah. So again, so the existing house is bottom right. The neighbor is across the street, is across Shepherd Mesa Lane on the far right of the plan. There's another neighbor to the far south of the sheet, and then the existing ag shed is on the north upper left hand. If we zoom in on the driveway, there's a minimal planting is proposed. On the east side of the driveway is a rock wall to make room for the asphalt driveway. And then on the left side of the driveway is a planter strip with a sage and lavender non-irrigated drought tolerant plants just in front of the ADU, and then a mulch strip just to the north of that as a dispersal area to catch drainage off of the driveway. If we can go to then the next sheet is the plan of the garage on the bottom right, with the office that's also proposed. And then if we can go 2 more sheets to and then you see the roof plan. But so then the upper elevation is the view of the garage from Shepherd Mesa Lane, from that approach that we saw on the photograph on A004. It's the materials proposed are stucco body, solid plank door for the garage door, composite shingle roof, and then on the lower elevation you can see windows on the garage as well, and those are proposed to be clad. I think that sums it up. So the vehicle access and the pedestrian access, just to go back through the comments again, are from the north off of Shepherd Mesa Lane. The landscape is minimal, and it's just a rock wall on one side of the driveway and the planter strip on the left side of the driveway. And then the grading is just cut to create a level pad for the driveway and for the garage, and then dispersed on site. And I think, and then the photos we already saw.
Thank you. We'll move on to questions from the board. Does anyone have questions?
Yes. Can we go to the elevations, please? Yeah, right there. How tall is that garage? What's the plate height?
It's about 10 feet. And that height is to both, so it allows the option for, it allows height for something like a Sprinter van, and then, rack storage above.
And the doors, I imagine they're 8 foot high?
Yes.
What are those doors?
Yeah. Are they folding doors or what is it?
They're sectional doors, solid wood plank. There's a, if we can go back to 004, there's an image of, yeah. I'm sorry, 005. On the bottom right is an image of that door.
I see. Okay. Can you go back to the elevations, please? Yeah. And the door is off center because of the it will conflict with the roof of the house, or what? Why is it off?
Yes, let me. Yes, that's correct. It's off. It's also, it's centered on the driveway, which is offset from the ADU.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, can we go back to the grading plan? Yeah, and zoom in. I'm just trying to get a sense because the slope off to the west is so steep. So you're really dropping down from 640 to a finished floor of 627 on the garage. That's 13, 14 feet.
So there's an existing slope that we're shading back, and we're coming down to, from the first contour down to the top of the rock wall, it is coming down about 11 feet, and then there's another 3 feet down, approximately, to the driveway.
So you're having to do really a lot of grading to get this down to fit into the height requirement, it seems like, right? So do you know what the finished floor of the house is?
Yeah, it's on that sheet. It's hard for me. I've got an icon in front of it, but I'm looking at.
Oh, it doesn't say. So the garage though is much lower than the house.
The garage is 6 inches lower than the house.
6 inches, that's all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the existing house.
Oh, the existing
Not-
house.
not
I
the
beg your pardon.
ADU.
Yeah, it's the existing house is it's about 14 feet down from the existing house. Which is, yeah. So if you go back, page 4 is sheet 004.
Your driveway, it doesn't look very steep. Okay.
So this is the large photograph top right. The existing house is on the left.
Right.
And then, yeah, this is the area that we're shading down in the foreground of this picture.
Okay. Okay.
A question. Are we in questions? Maybe back to the site or grading plan, Jonathan. Gabriel, is there no connection between the garage ADU and the existing house? Is there going to be a walkway of some sort?
Just either down the drive or there's an access path around the back of the garage so that you can walk back from the house around the back.
I'm sorry, can you say that? Oh, so you can walk around the garage and then to get to the existing residence?
Yeah, you can go around the back. There's a path on the right-hand side of the garage.
Right, I get that, but then how do you get up the hill?
Right now they're just it's stepping stones there, but there's no formal path.
Don't you think you're gonna want one? Or are you just not trying to not include that in this proposal, maybe?
It wasn't included, but it just because it's meant to be informal, just kind of set into the landscape, but we can show that.
Okay.
Do you have a landscape proposal for all the graded area?
Other than only just to, disperse it to the west over the site evenly.
But
landscape.
Yeah, landscape for erosion control and for re-landscaping all of the disturbed area.
So there's the two elements. One is the rock wall on the right-hand side of the garage to finish the slope, and then there's a planter strip on the left-hand side of the driveway.
Yeah, we get that, but you're gonna have to show planting for the disturbed area and irrigated.
I mean, you're going to have a substantial amount of grading to do
for
this.
that shaded area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Go back to the elevations there. How high is the garage door?
It's about 8 feet.
It's 18 feet?
8 feet.
Okay.
That's all the questions. We can move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience?
We have received no letters and we have nobody in the audience for this item.
Okay, we'll come back for comments from the board. Start with Alex.
Can you go to the other elevation, the next page, I think it is. Yeah, okay. Let me see that. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, go back to the first one. Yeah. I'm having a little bit of a hard time seeing the relationship between the big garage and the smaller building to the right, the ADU, I guess. It just seemed like out of scale and off center, the 8-foot door, and it's awkward. I'm not sure. I don't have any ideas of how to improve that, but yeah, I just need help from the rest of the board to see how visible this is, because I guess maybe it's okay for an agricultural kind of use, but it doesn't. The residential scale is not there, so that's what bothers me. The side elevation with the window is also a little bit odd as well. Those are my comments. Yeah, basically the comment is that the composition seems awkward. It seems this is off-centric, the doors are big, the volume is high. It looks more like an agricultural building, but it's not really detailed like that. So I don't know. I find it awkward, I guess.
Okay, John?
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I think that the scale of it is off and that could be restudied. I'm not so sure that the garage need, the plate height on the garage need be that high. That'd be my comment.
Okay, Val?
Yeah, I'm struggling with the scale of the garage too. Whether, well, there was a suggestion that maybe it could be a flat roof instead of the hip, which just makes it larger. With some kind of detailing over the doors. It's overpowering the ADU that it's attached to. And then I am also interested to see the landscape that's gonna happen around all that grading, because it's gonna be a lot of grading to get that down into that steep slope. And to meet the height requirements that you're trying to meet. So I actually, even in these drawings, if you had a little more detail going from that wall that you're showing up to the driveway, or give more context of how the garage relates to the road above, that would help us.
Chris?
Yeah, thank you. Can we go back to the grading plan? Yeah, and I think it would be helpful to have maybe a section shown through the garage up that slope, because it's not showing up in the elevation makes it look kind of, yeah, like it's just sort of in the middle of a gentle slope. But if we saw that in section where the garage is, it's very steep.
If you go to page 4,
oh, there's
these are smaller scale, but these are
and
number 4. It's cut through the garage.
okay, but your plan shows 2 walls. So one of those walls is not shown on that section. It just looks so much steeper on the grading plan. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you could maybe update that, because your plan shows 2 walls on the uphill side of the garage.
Yep.
And here we're showing 1, and it looks a lot steeper on the plan than what's shown there. It doesn't look accurate. So anyway, regardless, we definitely need to see what you'll be planting in the disturb zone, and also, on either side of the driveway. Lavender and sage, non-irrigated, will not live. So you're going to need irrigation. It's minimal irrigation, but given our current climate, nothing lives without some water. And as far as that slope goes, I would strongly encourage you to use natives, as they're more deep rooted and will withstand drought better. And then also to include, if there's a plan to, what's the pedestrian connection between the garage / ADU and the main house. Given the slope there, you're going to have either some walls or lots of steps, and we just want to see what's going to be happening there, because we assume you're going to want to get back and forth between the two. And that's, I think, all I have. What is your driveway material?
Asphalt.
Okay.
Can you bring a photo that's like the number 3 here, but that looks more to the northwest? Because that makes it look almost flat, this photo, and that's not what your grading plan is showing
More
in
to
terms
the-
of contours.
So
This is looking kind of
looking out to the right from this photo.
Yeah,
Yep.
across the valley, or whatever.
That's all I have.
Okay, Robert?
Is there a view where you can see the deck in front of this ADU and all that? Or was that? No? I guess we're only really seeing the house from this side.
It wasn't included in this set under the guidance that the ADU wasn't under review, but I can show that.
Well, one thing to consider, I guess, and maybe this is off the record because I'm not criticizing your ADU, but I think that the view of this whole structure from that side, it's going to be very prominent, and integrating some landscaping into it's going to be helpful. And you've got a fairly large sized deck. But on the opposite side of it, it looks like the grading exceeds 2 to 1 to me. I don't know if that's accurate or not. So, and I think the comments from the board to figure out appropriate planting to treat that slope is something that I would agree with. I think the configuration of the garage and the ADU makes sense given the slope of the site. But I know you're saying you're trying to put a tall vehicle into that garage, but then it looks like you got a whole lot of extra space above the top of the garage door. I don't know, maybe it's for storage or something, but I agree the garage looks like it kind of is out of scale with the rest of the structure. But from a site standpoint, I think you just need some more detail on the landscape planting and the way you're addressing the slopes.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with the further site planning and landscaping development. And how it'll nestle the structures into the site and stabilize that slope. I would check those grades, whether you're going to need a retaining wall if you're over 2 to 1. And I do think you could study the roof line of the garage a little bit more to see how it integrates with the adjacent structure and not appear so much more massive than the adjacent structure. Do you have a comment?
Well, I had a question whether we have any review over the deck on the ADU. That's a planning question, I guess.
Yeah, that's a planning question.
Joe?
Yes. So, Madam Chair and members of the board, so for ADUs, there's a provision that there's up to a certain square footage of accessory structures that are attached to them, such as like decks are part of the scope of the ADU. However, if it exceeds that, then it would require a land use permit. So we would have to, the planner would have to include that in their memo to the board. So that's something we'd have to dig into a little bit and spend a little time to confirm.
Yeah, it is a big deck and it's hanging off a steep slope, so.
This is here for preliminary review, but I'm not sure that we can move it ahead without a landscape plan and more detailing on the site work and grading, unless anyone wants to take
Yeah,
a motion.
no, Madam Chair, are we talking, considering perhaps a flat roof for the garage? Is that what I
That
hear?
was my comment, just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
study the roof.
Yeah, it seems like
Make it reduced in volume.
yeah, I think there's something about the garage that's not working well in the composition. So, yeah.
Okay, so you'll return for further conceptual, or sorry, you can return for preliminary review. We just won't make a motion for today.
And one last thing, you have the door to the office and then the door from the garage, and it just sort of spills out onto the hillside. So I assume there would be, again, some sort of a, sorry,
Landings.
landings, and then what? I mean, there's got to be some sort of pathway to somewhere. Or are you just going from the garage to the office? I don't know. But, any hardscape proposed is kind of what we want to see. It seems like you'd have a path around the office to the back side of the garage and off the deck. Where does the pathway from the deck go? So all those things should be part of the landscape plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you next time then. Is that it? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we move on with item number 5 now. The Brown Trust conversion. Residential units to commercial at, where is it? On Lily Avenue. And we've seen this before. And we have a live applicant. Hello. Good morning. So this is at 2380 Lily Avenue. And let's see. Comments. Parking modification to allow parking to be placed within the setback is a reasonable request and be supported based on the existing site conditions and its compatibility with surrounding neighborhood. So this is, we grant the preliminary approval, and this is now for what? For final approval. Okay, good. So what's new?
So nothing's new.
Nothing is,
Basically, we had to get a modification. This is an accessible path of travel, and you guys have seen this before.
Go to the site plan.
If you go to the site plan, right there.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. We looked at this, we discussed it, we talked about a lot, and then you had your modification done.
and then we had to go to the modification hearing. It just got approved. We just got our civil drawings back
Mhm.
yesterday, day before, and it looks like, we're pretty close. All the slopes there to make the path of travel work. So yeah, I mean, nothing's changed. It's,
So this permit is only for the path of travel and the
well, it's technically a change of use.
change of use.
The reason the path of travel is there is because buildings 1 and 2 were residential and are now commercial. So you got to get a path of travel up to them, but that's all that's happening.
But there is no architectural changes, no modifications to the architecture.
No.
Okay. And there is no landscape, if I recall, right?
No, the reason, the brown on there, it's already, the whole site is basically decomposed granite, right? And so we're just putting concrete within that so that we can get the path of travel.
Okay, very good. Madam Chair?
Did we just go through presentation?
I don't think there's a presentation, it's just,
There's really no presentation.
Questions from the board?
yeah, questions from the board?
Okay, move on to any public comment. I didn't see any letters in the box. Okay, we'll close public comment and, did you read the memo? That needs to go to the CA.
It already went.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, we got the
Move on to
mod.
comments from the board. It's straightforward enough that you can just chime in if anyone has any comments. Or if someone would like to make a motion.
It's a beautiful path of travel.
I'd be glad to make a motion for final approval as submitted.
Can we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. That one was easy.
I'm ready to adjourn. Can we adjourn? Okay. Well,